painting that Yaakov Healing Art drew with pen, pencil, and also marker, that's an embodiment of a very powerful feminine energy. And I'm so blessed to be able to paint this for you here to see. And for original art, you can check in the link in the description for the art that we already have. I do a lot of collaborations with Yaakov Healing Art as we combine our artistic ability to really bring what someone needs to the surface. So I hope you enjoy this. It's going to look alive. It already looks alive now when I look at your face and look at the eyes and the lips, and it just speaks to me. So I hope it speaks to you too, and I hope you enjoy. Throughout this video, you're going to hear various topics and videos of different types of elements of healing, as they just said. So thank you so much. I'm going to get the paints mixed. You can view this here and just enjoy the process. It's going to be on the whole time.
And the intricate details of it are never absolutely certain until after they're fulfilled. But we want to find the things that are clear. We want to find the things that God wants us to find. The things for which God has purposed that we study this passage. Now, we intend to do the same thing for the trumpet judgments in chapters 8 through 11 and the bowl judgments in chapters 15 through 16 in future videos coming soon. For now, let's just stick with the seal judgments. There is much controversy on these, and therefore much to cover in our examination today. So let's just dive right in. To begin, we need to remember the context that leads up to the opening of the seals in Revelation chapter 6. Now, I've already published a series of videos explaining Revelation chapters 1 through 5, so go check those out if you'd like more information on these conclusions. For this study, I'll simply summarize what is found in the previous two chapters. In chapter 4, the Apostle John, who wrote the book of Revelation, was caught up to heaven and viewed the beginning of an inauguration ceremony for the Messiah as king over all the nations of the earth. The procession began when 24 elders, a group which seems to represent resurrected believers in Christ, cast their crowns at the throne of God and worshipped him. The ceremony then having begun, a massive scroll was seen sitting at the right hand of the throne of God the Father, and no one was worthy to open the scroll except for the Lion of Judah, Jesus Christ. This tells us that the scroll likely represents a sort of deed to the earth. Christ, opening the scroll, meant that he would finally step forward and receive the kingdom of God that he alone is worthy to receive. So, in chapter 5, Jesus, appearing symbolically like a sacrificial lamb slain for our sins, stepped forward and took the land deed scroll. Continuing into chapter 6, he slowly opened each seal one at a time. With each seal, the Lord prepared the document of the scroll to be opened, which symbolizes the fact that he was preparing to return to the earth to bring in and reign over the eternal kingdom of God. Just as the scroll must be prepared before it is opened, the earth too must be prepared for the return of Christ. That seems to be why, as each seal is opened on the scroll, things begin moving on the earth that prepare the kingdoms of this world and set in motion those events that will finally culminate with the return of Christ, which we read about in Revelation chapter 19. So then, the thing that seems to be clear in the context of the seal judgments is that these are necessary events that prepare the world for the coming of Christ to conquer and reign and bring in the kingdom of God.
Each part of this painting is just elements, of color, and you might even feel something when you look at this. That's the whole point. But I'm going to be mixing all my colors here through the painting, because it just comes to you. So let's just
because he's riding on a white horse, just like Jesus does in Revelation chapter 19.
This is pretty blank right now, but by the end of this, it's going to be filled with all different hues.
When he sets up the kingdom of God on the earth. However, this interpretation just doesn't work on several points. First, because this rider is the first of 7
collaboration painting with
Yaakov. It's true that not
art.
everything in prophecy is necessarily given to us in perfect chronological order.
The style is so unique, so I always love painting with him
and they
filling in,
with the
bouncing off
chronological
ideas,
of Christ opening the 7 seals of that great scroll. To
he
guess
does
that a
awesome
numbered list
abstract
of
paintings
judgments
too,
like
very
this
appealing.
are not actually in chronological order would be a very poor method of interpreting any text. Our goal is to discover what God means to tell us in this text. And God seems very plainly to be telling us that this rider on the white horse is followed chronologically by war, seal number 2, famine, seal number 3, death, seal number 4, and the martyrdom of believers in seal number 5. This can't fit with Christ being the white rider, because his coming and conquering will end war. That's why he's called the Prince of Peace in Isaiah 9. He's supposed to end famine. He will end death. And he will certainly end the martyrdom of believers, won't he? So the fact that the white rider is the first of these seal judgments tells us that he can't be a symbol of Christ. Furthermore, Revelation 6 tells us that this man on the white horse went forth conquering and to conquer. This suggests a continual conquering of one nation after another. He was conquering already, and he meant to continue conquering more people after that. But Christ conquering in Revelation 19 takes place all at one time in one battle. He returns, and in one single engagement, he destroys all of the armies of the world and claims his kingdom. And that's not all. Jesus, when he's seen in Revelation 19, comes conquering the earth with the sword that proceeds out of his mouth. In other words, his speech is a sword that slays the enemy. But this rider in white in Revelation 6 is not carrying a sword. He's carrying a bow. So then the thing that seems to be clear about the horseman of the first seal is that he does not represent Christ. He represents someone who comes at the beginning of the judgments of the end times, and he comes conquering the nations of the world to solidify them under his authority. Now, the book of Daniel describes a man who will emerge in the end times to do exactly that. Theologians usually refer to this man as the Antichrist, a word found in 1 John chapter 2. According to Daniel chapter 7, this man will rise to power over a unified European conglomerate of 10 kingdoms that will apparently constitute a revived Roman Empire. Check out my videos on Daniel to hear my explanation for these conclusions. According to Daniel chapter 11, upon arriving to power in Europe, this man will proceed to war against kingdoms to the south, presumably in Africa, and to the north, presumably in Russia. This explains why Revelation refers to this man as going forth, conquering, and to conquer. He conquers and rises to power in Europe, and then he goes on to conquer all other powers that stand in his way. The rider on the white horse must be the Antichrist. And this also explains the next 3 seal judgments, which are war, famine, and death. Daniel prophesied that this man would war against all of those who opposed him. Seal number 2 follows the white horse, the Antichrist, with the red horse of war, and the third rider on a black horse who brought famine. Now the famine mentioned in seal number 3 isn't the sort of famine that results from a lack of rain. Rather, it is food scarcity, seemingly connected with a massive economic downturn. We're told that food would be ridiculously expensive. A measure of wheat or 3 measures of barley would cost 1 penny. Now, a penny, in the time of the writing of the book of Revelation, referred to a coin called a denarius, which was equal to 1 day's wages for a Roman soldier. Essentially, it was the average amount that a regular person would make for 1 day's worth of work. Now, the measure of wheat here would have been the amount that a Roman soldier was allotted for food for 1 day. What is being said then is that a day's wages could buy you 1 day's worth of food for 1 person. What Revelation describes is a massive economic depression. Now, according to my super scientific 5-second Google search, the average income during the Great Depression in America was about $1,400 per year. And with a second scientific Google search, I determined that groceries back then cost an average of less than $1 per day per person, as best I can tell. If these figures are correct, that means that even during the darkness of the Great Depression, the annual income per person per year was still 4 times the total annual cost of groceries per year. But when the depression of seal number 3 comes along, the annual income of 1 person will only be exactly the same as the annual cost of food for that person. That would be like spending $40,000 per year on groceries for one person in today's economy, which is about 10 times worse than the American economy today and 4 times worse than the Great Depression. And this makes perfect sense in the context of the sealed judgment. The Antichrist, the white horseman, will rise to power and begin his conquest of all world governments. This will result in a world war, as described in Daniel 11.
Sounds like a prophecy.
And will leave much of the world financially devastated in its aftermath. Next comes the fourth horseman, a pale green horse who represents death. As a result of this judgment, Revelation tells us that 1/4 of the world's population will die, but not from one event. Rather, they will be killed as a result of 4 various causes. Many will die as a result of the war. The scripture represents this by saying that they will be killed with the sword. Others will die from hunger or as a result of the food scarcity during the Depression. And others will die from death. Now this word death is translated from the Greek word thanatos, which seems to be used here in reference to a plague or a disease. This is no surprise because poor sanitary conditions during the time of Great War can very easily give rise to many terrible diseases. Finally, amid all of this terror and death, even more people will be killed by wild animals who apparently begin to attack humans on the earth. This final cause may simply result from the disarray of civilization during this time. Maybe they will be unable to keep large beasts like lions, tigers, and bears out of their cities. But it could also be a supernatural judgment whereby God actually causes animals to begin attacking humans. We can't be sure, but whatever the case, these 4, the war, the famine, the disease, and the animal attacks, all together kill 1/4 of the world's population. Assuming that the world's population will be then what it is today, that would mean that over 2 billion people are killed. But that's not all. The interesting thing about the deaths in seal number 4 is that the passage tells us that hell follows after their death. We can reasonably assume that this refers to unbelieving people who will find themselves in hell after they die. But what about believers? Do no Christians die during this time? Well, apparently there are believers on the earth during this time, and many of them are also killed. But it seems that their deaths are not part of this 1/4 of the world that is killed. Their deaths are a result of martyrdom. They are specifically targeted and killed because of their faith in Jesus Christ. We find this in seal number 5, when John saw, under the altar, presumably in heaven, the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. These souls called out to God, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? So they must have been killed by the men of the earth because of their faith. Now, according to Daniel chapter 11, the Antichrist, when he sets up his kingdom and begins to war against those who stand against his authority, will fight in the south, probably in Africa, and in the north, probably in Russia, but will establish his palace or his home away from home, his base of operations during the campaign, between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. Now, it's unclear whether this means that it will be somewhere between Jerusalem and the Mediterranean Sea, or actually in Jerusalem between the 2 seas, the Mediterranean and the Dead Sea. Either way, he will set up his base camp in or near Jerusalem. Now, this is important because in Revelation chapter 11, we find 2 witnesses in Jerusalem during this time who are prophesying and calling the people of Israel to faith in Jesus Christ. Check out my video on Revelation 11 if you'd like to dive deeper on my conclusions about the 2 witnesses. I explain in that video why I'm convinced that they must be ministering during the first half of the 7-year period in which all of these judgments of Revelation occur. Here, at the beginning of those 7 years, there are 2 prophets leading people to faith in the city of Jerusalem. Apparently, the Antichrist sets up his headquarters near Jerusalem, and attempts and fails to kill those prophets for 3.5 years. Chapter 11 tells us that men come to harm the prophets and are supernaturally killed with fire from the mouths of the witnesses. So, it's reasonable to guess then that those souls that John saw in heaven after seal number 5 were those who came to faith as a result of the witness of the 2 prophets, but were caught and killed by the Antichrist in his desire to suppress the message of the witnesses. Now, the first 5 of these seals that we've examined may take place relatively close together. I would imagine that the war is somewhere around 1 or 2 years long at the most. The famine may last a little while after that, but we could surmise that all of these events take place within a 12 or 36-month time period. Then, the Lord in heaven opens the 6th seal, which brings 3 terrifying destructions upon the earth. First, we're told that there was a great earthquake, and then we read that the sun became black and dark, and the moon turned red. Finally, the stars, a word here that seems to refer to the meteors, rained down upon the earth. Now, many have guessed at what could cause all 3 of these things at once. Could it be a mysterious, invisible planet in our solar system that passes too close to the Earth? Well, I don't know, but personally, I'm not really so interested in explaining how it will happen. I simply want to analyze what the text says will in fact happen. What we see here does appear to be something of some cosmic significance. I mean, something must be going on in outer space for all of these meteors to hit the Earth at the same time. Usually they just burn up in the atmosphere, right? Furthermore, verse 14 describes the darkening of the sun and the reddening of the moon in more detail, saying that it looks as if the entire heaven was rolled up like a scroll and disappeared. This seems to be suggesting that a layer of debris fills the atmosphere during this time, darkening the sun, causing the moon to look red, and making it impossible to see the sky itself. Then, verse 14 gives us additional information about the earthquake. We're told that every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Essentially, this seems to mean that the earthquake shakes every part of the world. Not a single mountain or island is left untouched by the quaking. Now let's remind ourselves that what we're trying to do here is gather just the things that seem to be obviously intended by the text. It seems clear that the earthquake is worldwide, since every mountain and island are shaken by it. It also seems clear that there must be some heavy cloud of debris in the air, since the sky cannot be seen and the moon looks red and the sun goes black. We could imagine hundreds of different scenarios that might create such a condition on the Earth, like nuclear war or solar flares or a natural geological catastrophe, but we can't be sure about any of these. I will say, though, that in the category of speculation, something about this judgment must not be easily explained away as a result of the war or as natural occurrence, because the response of the people on the Earth during this event is rather telling. They hide themselves in the caves of the earth and pray that the caves will collapse and hide them from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. Apparently, those 2 prophets have effectively spread the word by this time, because whatever scientific explanation could be found for the earthquake, the people of the earth recognized that it came as a result of the wrath of God. Now, many have observed that the description of the 6th seal is similar in many respects to the statement of Jesus in Matthew 24, when he said, "Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken." But Jesus was referring to a time after the tribulation of those days. This phrase refers to the persecution of the saints that takes place in the last 3.5 years before the return of Christ. In other words, Jesus was speaking about an event that seems to take place only days or maybe months before his return. But Revelation 6 appears to be referring to a time shortly after the beginning of the 7-year time period that leads up to his return. So which one are we interpreting wrongly? Well, first of all, it would be perfectly fitting for God to begin the 7-year countdown of the return of Christ with an event that will repeat itself at the end of that countdown. I mean, I often set my alarm clock 9 minutes before I actually need to get up. That way, I can hit the snooze button and actually get up 9 minutes later when the alarm goes off again. I begin to wake up with the sound of the first alarm, and I actually get up at the sound of the second. What I'm saying is that it would be perfectly reasonable to guess that the Lord may allow similar events to occur both near the beginning and near the ending of this countdown to his return time period. And there are a few distinctions between these two passages. Revelation 6 mentions primarily the earthquake, but Jesus referred to the shaking of the heavens in Matthew 24, not the shaking of the earth. Also, the sixth seal described the darkening of the sun and the moon turning to blood. But the event that Jesus described was one in which the moon won't give any light at all. So these sound like two similar but separate events. Also, Revelation 16 mentions another earthquake that takes place as a result of the seventh bowl of God's wrath being poured out on the earth, around the time when the armies of the earth are gathering together to the final battle where Christ will appear and destroy them all. This earthquake at the end seems to be much worse than the earthquake described in Revelation chapter 6, because in this quake, the mountains and islands aren't just moved or shaken, they are completely gone. They flee and are not found anymore. Furthermore, this earthquake in Revelation 16 is accompanied by a plague of hail, not meteors. What I'm saying is that it seems to be clear that the sixth seal is generally near the beginning of the 7-year countdown to the return of Christ, and it is similar to, and perhaps a foreshadowing of, other judgments that will take place near the end of the 7 years, which lead up to the return of Christ. Then comes the final seal, number 7. Now, we have to wait all the way until Revelation chapter 8 to read about seal number 7, because before it can be opened, God first causes his chosen 144,000 Jews on the earth to be sealed and preserved from the rest of the judgments to come. We won't take time to interpret Revelation 7 today, but you can watch my video on the 144,000 to dive deeper into that chapter. For this study, we'll skip forward to chapter 8, where we read that upon opening the seventh seal, the crowds gathered in heaven pause, and no sound is heard there for half an hour. Don't forget that the scene in heaven is a ceremony celebrating the return of Christ to claim his kingdom. He has now opened all of the seals. He now possesses the title deed to the earth. The crowns have been cast at his feet, and he has laid claim to the kingdoms of the earth. In response, all heaven observes a 30-minute moment of absolute silence. Then the procession continues. The silence is broken by 7 angels blowing 7 trumpets to proclaim the fact that King Jesus had opened the scroll. One by one, with the sounding of each trumpet, more coinciding judgments take place on the earth to prepare the nations for the new king. But we'll get into the trumpet judgments in our next excursion into the book of Revelation. For now, suffice it to say that the trumpet judgments must all take place chronologically after the seal judgments. We know this because the text presents both the seals and the trumpets in order 1 through 7 and then 1 through 7. But the 7 trumpets are not permitted to sound until after the seals are opened and the 144,000 are marked and preserved from the trumpet judgments. If seal number 7 was only a moment of silence, then it could have been listed after seal number 6. But it wasn't. Everything was put on hold in chapter 7 to prevent seal number 7 from being opened until after the 144,000 were sealed. Why? Well, obviously, because seal number 7 would be more than just half an hour of silence. It would also produce the judgments of the 7 trumpets, which the 144,000 needed to be preserved from. That means that the events signified by the trumpet judgments have to occur chronologically after the events signified by the 7 seals. Alright, so now let's recap the things that seem to be clear about those seal judgments. The first seal seems to obviously refer to the coming of the Antichrist, who will usher in 3 judgments: world war, famine, and a great amount of death. 1/4 of the population of the world will die during this time. Then there will be great animosity toward the followers of Christ, and many will be martyred. Next, God will send a great worldwide earthquake mixed with meteor impacts and darkened skies as a sort of alarm to warn the earth that the countdown to his return has begun. Finally, he will completely open the seals and possess the scroll, which ushers in the trumpets, announcing his reign and 7 more great plagues on the earth.
If you think you can't save any money, you're wrong. Well, let me show you. This is the 100 envelope savings challenge.
de tu proyecto para dar el primer paso.
you explain what this part is of the painting here?
Yeah.
Because you got arrows and a heart and then some fruits.
So when we look at this, when you look at all religion, there's a point of love, and we say that in nature and the elements there's 4 directions. So the path to the heart opens up directly in the soil to bloom and the flowers. And when the heart opens up, it actually grows up the energetic channels to enhance the higher being, to reach that God consciousness, that Mary consciousness, that Omani consciousness. And then we have the flower that inside, sometimes they say it's lotus, but we wanted it to change, even with the flower in the middle, and above the head not to be so perfect, because we want that energy to understand that it's always changing.
And I also saw it almost looks like the position of the body is, like an angle or a slant,
Yes.
and it's flipping this way, so the aura is going to go whichever way the person is moving, because it moves with the person. And then another thing, when I was painting this, I didn't know this was going to be rainbow. It just turned out like that. I'm not even done. But through a divine mystery, they said that Jesus' mother, Yeshua's mother, Mary, was ascended into heaven, body and soul. Like in different scriptures, they would say like a rainbow body phenomenon where the body transcends suffering, so the soul doesn't have to go into that. And that's kind of what this embodies too. So as we go into this holiday of the birth of Christ, and then after that you go into the divine mysteries of Easter, and it's really a year-round thing. So it also doesn't go towards one religion. It's something that transcends, is a story that in all religions, this divine mother, divine feminine is something that always permeates as power, as nurture, as love, and this is going to be really nice.
So one of the biggest things is for everybody, you have a doctor's in religion, is to understand that every religion, the story is amazing. But there was a lot of books in the Bible that were taken out and judged and written. So as we go, there's parts where you can see that they have documentation where Jesus buried his mother almost near India. There's a lot of stories that way. And they find out that, where was Jesus during this time? And we need to stop the pain of you're going to burn in hell and all this. So this is my understanding of the mother in all of us, whether you're a man, a woman, a mother, and understanding the compassion. Even when you look at Mother Teresa, when someone went to Mother Teresa and said, "Come with me to fight the war on," and she was like, "No." Because, every time you're fighting a war on something, you're creating more of a war. So through this painting, some people will actually open up and really heal themselves as we do energetic paintings. And it's ever since we started advertising energy paintings and everything, now all of a sudden everybody's doing it, which is great. But you have to understand the essence of when we started this, and now all of a sudden it's getting flooded, because people will copy and the interpretation is right. But when you look at this, you will really see through it. And these paintings can change your world.
And that's actually something that I do like to talk about too, about like being an artist. and you have people that watch your stuff, or you paint and then you see it someplace else where it's like you could either get down on yourself that someone's copying you, but it's really just a mindset and a limiting belief, because it's all creative for you to grasp, and it's your ability to transfer that, whether it's a painter, a dancer, a expressionist. It's really, are you gonna do it? So do it. So there's really no copy or anything. It's just a limiting belief mindset inside of someone that wants to get down, when the creativity is always there for anyone to grasp. Again, the universe is going to send you signs. God is going to send you messages. And it's not really someone is doing something because I did it. It's really just like, how are they going to interpret it? And don't get down on anyone for interpreting something in a certain way, because that's something that they did. So again, you can interpret this in so many different ways. It's meant to be like a Virgin Mother, Mother Mary aspect. And the colors that came out for this, I went from the outline from Yaakov, and then the colors just like came, and it's pretty incredible. I get astounded too, not that I want to get like too much about my artistic abilities, but I even surprise myself. And if you create, it's something also that you will heal from your creations, no matter who you are. So you can check back on this channel. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to this channel. Also like, comment, subscribe to Yaakov Healing Arts channel. He has a bunch of different artistic downloads that, on your journey may help you in whatever you need. So it's very cool. We could talk about a lot of different things, and creativity, adding light. Like I saw this one painting too, very inspired me to do this color aspect that's like fairy lights, magical pastels, and that's just something that's there inside of this universe. You can interpret it any way you want. The more you can say at that high vibration, not blame, not say someone's copying or stealing. Well, if someone's really stealing your belongings, right, or physically doing things to you, you do have a right to correct that. But if it's an idea, the ideas are free-flowing inside of this vortex, this universe, that it's available for anyone to act upon. And if you are presented with an opportunity, very important lesson that I had to learn multiple times, and also work through it, that if you don't act on an opportunity, it's going to appear to someone else. And if they don't act upon it, it's going to appear to someone else. And maybe even the vibration awakens many people so that they're able to act on it and then come together and collaborate. Everything inside of your life teaches you a lesson. All the negative feelings, vibrations, dark energies, white energies, magic, religion, your journey through the religion that you grew up, it teaches you a lesson. It's all how you frame it inside of your mind, and also where your heart wants you to go inside of life. So again, this is, I'm just adding more colors to this. I'm changed by this. This is going to be available on the Found Myself website, and then prints will also be available. And it's not finished yet, so when you do see it, it's going to look different from this. This is a combination between Yaakov Healing Arts, myself, OAT, Olivia, and it's great for you to be here. If you're staying this long, hello and thank you for viewing. Very appreciate it. I've been on for almost 55 minutes, and I could be on for hours painting. Maybe someday, in the next days, we'll take you through the gallery, we'll show you the pieces that we have, explain them, so that in a way you're able to get inspired. If you go on my Facebook, Olivia Tatara -OAT, I do a few videos talking about the artistic mindset and how you can approach your own creativity naturally so it does expand. I know a lot of people like to come in and out of these live videos, and at the beginning I had a few people that saw the white in the sketch, and if you're back, it changed. It just changed. I still gotta add the purple to this. I've been going every single color of the spectrum, and then these are like ethereal colors, like rose quartz, citrine, angel eye blue, jade. That's what I would like name this, because this does have good stone energy frequency too. Before, if you were on here, we were listening to these prophecies of the seven seals and stuff, and man, those prophecies, they sound intense, don't they? I think we're experiencing this now in life. And that's just from, again, one holy book that a lot of people know, like Christianity, Catholicism. You can listen to it and you can like change, and I hope you don't get any fear, but if you do, it's just something to unlock the next level in which you think that you are getting this divine creation, prayer, speaking to God. Inspiration, I think, for like myself in this painting would have to be many texts, conversations with God is a big one. It just gives you a different perspective on, you know, how people are connecting to the divine. I also listen to a lot of Abraham Hicks, or it's Esther Hicks and Gary. They're very inspiring. Louise Hay, to reprogram your subconscious mind. Joe Vitale, Zero Limits. Another huge thing that goes into the energy practice and the paintings is the practice of forgiveness. Ho'oponopono. I love you, please forgive me, thank you, and I'm sorry. At whatever level you are on in your spiritual path, let's say your healing path, Ho'oponopono is something that takes you to the root level of where you think your suffering is in your memory. So through this, you're going to get different tips and different things that, you know, have helped. I don't want to hide anything for anyone. I feel like when I'm painting, everything is out in the open. And people will come in, people will go. Some people will like, and hey, some people might not like it. Whatever. Oh wow, see, that is nice. Sometimes these colors just come to fruition. Now I have a lighter color there, and that really brings it out. But again, these paintings here, they're going to be available on the website, oliviatatara.com. You can check that out for different things that's undergoing updates. And then we have SiriusSoulSun.com, where we have the studio where we are in Puerto Rico. And you can do different things on the Healing Art Gallery on SiriusSoulSun.com. And through that, Yaakov and I do offer like private sessions and consultations where paintings can change your energy art, healing art, and on various different topics. I think I'm going to put on some music that's going to like embed into the painting, and then we'll see from here. Again, if you're new here, welcome. I got many videos on the channel about art and creativity, painting, subconscious reprogramming, tools that I've learned that have helped me on my path. You're stopping by? Hello? We're all just here, scrolling and flipping back and forth. I I love collaborating with Yaakov Healing Art because his drawings and structure is nothing like I've ever seen before. Later on, I'm going to paint another one of his paintings that he sketched out. Very nice and natural mangoes and leaves and the sun. So this is just something here. I got a lot of extra paint. But I have not even gotten into her beautiful face. Or the halo here. So I'm just doing the background right now. And then I'm going to get into more detail. And another thing I'd like to say about art for anyone that's coming in here, if they're creative or if they need inspiration, is that there's many different techniques, many different artists out there, but in this reality, it's for you to realize that you are a creator and you are an artist if you want to be. And anything is art, everything is art. You are art. Don't limit yourself. Your limitations are all in your mind. And there's not one way to do something. You might have a specific technique that you like, but I've only used this one paintbrush in this whole painting so far. For the details, I'm going to switch tools, but I don't like to, again, limit. When it comes to painting, you don't know how the creativity is going to flow through you. And this goes for every single creator. Through this, we'll have Yaakov Healing Art come in and explain various aspects of this painting, because he is the collaborator. He did sketch this from his heart, and like there's heart there and heart there. So I would say something inside of this painting that's pretty amazing is the unconditional love of the universe, of the mother. If you love your mother, it's beautiful. She gave birth to you, she nurtured you, cared for you. If you don't know your mother, this also can give you that energy inside, the nurturing for the self. So another thing in Ho'oponopono that's really good is that you are responsible for your life, your heart, your actions, your thoughts. This can help you clean that. And that's what we say in all this, is that it's about cleaning. And one thing that is another thing, also inspiration I get, another is from Marie Kondo. I don't know, many of you seen The Joy of, is it The Joy of Tidying? Yes, or The Joy of Cleaning. It's on Netflix, but she also has a book that helps you just see life different. So through this, just different inspirations that I share also. And if you watch this too, it's like a free flow. You might learn how to, paint, do art, get inspired. And here in Puerto Rico, we're going through different types of electrical changes and grid changes, so you're going to notice lights flickering on and off. We just let it happen. We also heavily run on solar power, battery power. It's good to have a backup. So, but light is something also that is very spiritual. This is actually, in essence of this painting, is light, as you can see. And I like to check the connection. So I'm looking at the painting here, also hello, and then I'm looking at the painting here. And in real life, it's not the same as in the camera. So that's another thing for all artists. You're going to show your art, it's beautiful, but you should get some art because it just shows that it's so different when you have it in person. It can change your life. Art has done it for centuries. It's also something inside of golden ages that stays. And now with technology and the internet, they say that, oh, my art's never, a limiting belief is right here. They say that your art's never going to succeed until you're dead. I've heard that from so many artists, and no, there's endless possibilities now with the internet. You can really do anything, not just art. There's dancers, singers, people coming out of nowhere, expressing themselves, and getting freedom from it. This brings a lot of freedom. But again, the colors I see on the screen are just, it's pretty, I think, because there's some people in there that are staying in the room, but it's very nothing compared to the real life picture. And we got to get a measuring tape because I don't know what the size of this is by looking. But it's pretty significant in the size. I was talking about your abstract art, if you want to go into that, because you paint this, or well, I'm painting it, you also paint too, but your drawings are something that is a whole new style of art. So just if you want to explain more about your art, I've been talking for a while.
Well, my art is a little different compared to most artists. I really, for years, I have helped a lot of people bring out their art. And most of the people that I work with that are artists, it really depends on how far they want to come. I can teach anybody art. A lot of people have degrees in art. I was just born with it because I can actually see a picture because of what I went through in life. And I noticed that a lot of, if you say students or anybody, especially in my meditation classes, I always tell someone that they should write a book and do artwork. That's the first thing because we're all famous, but a lot of artists that fail knock some other artists, and I always tell everyone, don't listen. It doesn't matter if it's your mother, your father, whoever it is, or even a teacher that knocks you. I remember I had this one student, and he was going to Oxford, and he was an amazing student, and they knocked his art, and when I looked at his art, I said, well, you need a couple things, but I think your paintings can sell for $30, $40, $50,000. And he laughed, and then 3 years later, he sold his painting for over $150.
Nice.
Now, we can get this kind of money, and right now, we're in an era where we want to give back to the world, and a lot of times you would see me painting, but now that I am with my significant other, and she's an artist, I'm an artist, we work with each other because two are better than one. And then from there, the painting goes into different dimensions. Guys, if you're an artist and you really want to work with us online, or you just want to be, or maybe you like doodling, or maybe you have a child that likes to draw, you can contact us. We have all sorts of programs, and whether it's big or small, we cater to all. And we don't knock you. We can make affordable things for you. But you have to understand, in life, we must charge something, especially for the talents that we do have. So guys, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And Christmas is, forget about the stories of Jesus and Mary and this and that, and just realize that every holiday, yeah, a lot of it's disguised and nonsense, but every holiday is a gift. But why do you have to celebrate that gift on that one day? Bring out nature, bring out healing, and even if people knock you and talk bad about you or talk a bunch of garbage, just turn around and let it go. That's the first thing. And learn from a real teacher. Sometimes you need a teacher to help you realize, don't pay attention to this. A lot of people read books, and it's great to have a very good mentor. It doesn't matter you go with us or something, but we're here in Puerto Rico and we have a botanical garden and we're more into nature and herbs and really helping people open. May all of you be blessed. Anybody suffering, for all those who are suffering, for all those who do ill will, may they be free. May they find themselves. And if anybody or anything or any entity above, beneath, to the left, to the right, in front and back and all around, we ask for it to clear, to go back with love where it was.
And you notice in this too that there's many different views and aspects of spirituality, of people, of belief. So he mentioned the very key things, we are available if someone wants to collaborate with a painting. Brains are better together, and creativity is a whole dedicated to a part of the brain. When you use that in sync, miracles happen. Miracles are happening every moment. You get to recognize it. We also are available for art mentoring if you see this and you need inspiration or support. There's many ways you can contact us in the description. We have many different online channels that may help and aid you. So for now, we're doing the painting. And again, we've been on here for almost 71 minutes. Gonna add some final touches to the background here. And a lot of people like purple. So do I. No matter who you are or where you are in the world, may you be blessed, find the light inside of anything that you're doing. And we'll give more information about art collaborations and different outlets to connect. I did say I'm just going to put on some music. I got caught in the moment. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to just let this sit, maybe dry. How about we mix some religions, mix some healing art, and I'm going to put on an all-time favorite from the lineage as well as, throughout history. It's an Omani Padme home. So YouTube might flag this, it's copywritten. All credit goes to the artist of this. It is a very, it's ancient, so we're going to put this on. On the speaker. Thanks for viewing the video. Hope to see you soon. Let me get like a full understanding of this so you can see it from the perspective that we have. I like how he explained that this was like dirt, because I was planning on just doing it like a shadow of the leaves, but yes, it looks like dirt. In the sand, in the grain, and then next time we will be completing this. I'm OAT. Take care. Thanks for watching.